just left waiting endlessly at the carousel, guessing if your bag decided to take a solo trip? No, 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 no. Why would you even want to save money for fun activities when you can just splurge on a check-in fees? Huh? Don't you just get excited when your belongings vacation somewhere in Hawaii just without you? No, 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 no. Why wouldn't you enjoy dragging a massive suitcase through the airport? It's almost like a free gym membership. Hey jet setters, ready to embrace carry-on revolution? Let's dive in. Hey guys, it's Anna and welcome to my channel. That's where we unpack the dream of Canadian living. As you guys know, I live and work in Canada, and I consider myself a semi-frequent traveler, meaning that I take an air trip at least once a month. 50% of this travel is typically business related, so I deal with a lot of time constraints and strict scheduling issues. So a lot of times check-in baggage is not something that I can afford to have, or just time-wise. So I tend to travel with a carry-on. Typically I stick with one of the two options. The larger one is more of a vacation, 1 to 2 weeks kind of duration of time. And the smaller carry-on that you're seeing on your screen right now is something that I typically take to my business trips, 2 to 3 days long. And the beauty of it is that you can put it underneath the seat. What I found very restricting is when you travel early on Monday mornings, or if you travel in the Thursday or Friday afternoons, a lot of travelers also tend to stick to the carry-on options. And by the time you get to your seat, a lot of overhead compartments are already taken, and there's nowhere to put your luggage. A lot of times they would ask you to check in your bag, which is definitely not a preference for me at this point. So I love how compact and versatile this bag is. I'll just simply put it underneath the seat, and I just enjoy my freedom of a carry-on regardless of what's going on in overhead compartment or how busy the plane is. Just in a few days, I'm taking a trip to Vegas, so I decided to share my tips and tricks on packing a carry-on. It's a very short trip, more of a leisure related, so I'm gonna show you how I pack my suitcase, the smaller under the seat version, and show you everything that you potentially might want to get concerned with, or maybe want to learn about when you travel either within Canada or United States. So once your tickets are booked, you'll want to head straight to the airline's website and find out what are the carry-on requirements for your particular flight and your particular airline. All airlines are different. Some of them provide restrictions on personal items as well as the carry-on size. Sometimes they limit you by weight as well. So it's really great to know what exactly is allowed during your flight. Make sure you measure your own carry-on, make sure you weigh your own carry-on in order to not to pay those check-in fees once you arrive to the airport. Typically when I travel and pack for vacation or business trip, I separate all of the items in 4 major categories. Of course, documents, gadgets, anything related to the toiletries, as well as your clothing and shoes. Of course, at the end of the packing, I also look at any type of risk items that potentially might be taken away. So this is exactly the way we're going to structure this video. We're going to look at all 4 categories as well as the risk items, and we talk a little bit more about the personal items and what I tend to pack in there. So category number 1, documents. Of course, if you're traveling within Canada, you don't need to bring your passport with you. Of course, you might want to bring a wallet, which contains your license as well as all necessary credit cards, debit cards, whatever else you might need throughout your travel. Of course, if you're traveling internationally, you might want to take the passport with you. If you're proud owner of several citizenships and you know you will be entering the other country with a second passport, bring that as well. For anyone who is not a Canadian citizen and you're flying out of Canada, don't forget to bring your PR card together with your work permit or study permit if you're a holder of those, as well as any type of visas or electronic authorizations that would be required at the point of entry to the other country. For any parents who is traveling solo with the kids, don't forget to bring a permission letter from the other parent. And of course, if you're expecting mother and you are somewhere at the 7th, 8th, 9th month and you're traveling, you most likely would need authorization from your doctor with the permission to travel. Otherwise, you potentially might get denied at the boarding of the airplane. So category number 2, gadgets. And of course, this very simple one is don't forget your phone and a charger for it. That's for sure something that you don't want to miss out on during your travel. If anything, you always can buy another one at the airport. Category number 2, if it's business related travel, you typically will bring your laptop with you. And I strongly do not recommend to put your laptop in a carry-on bag because you will have to go in and out during the airport checkpoints, and that just takes a lot of time. Another important thing to bring is, of course, your earpods. I have the wireless ones, and I'm more of an audiobook kind of girl when I'm traveling by air. So I don't mind having those since I'm always connected to my phone or my laptop. That being said, a lot of times if you're planning on connecting to the audio system of the plane, you might want to bring the wireless or wired headphones with you. Another great thing to bring if you're traveling outside of North America is adapters. Always check the country of origin and the way they use power adapters. Typically all the information available on the country's website or just through Google. Make sure you check it. You don't want to get stuck without any power or charging abilities by the time you get to the country, and a lot of times they will charge you an arm and a leg to get any type of adapter at the destination point. All right, category number 3, liquids, gels, makeup, toiletries, whatever it might be. There's only one rule to stick to. If you can discard it at the end of the trip, it's something that you should definitely pack. Meaning that I typically tend to stick to the smaller sizes, sample sizes, and this type of containers that you can pick up anywhere in a dollar store or a pharmacy. I just put my product in there. I never bring more than that. It's more than enough to last 2 or 3 days or even a week. And I put them in a clear Ziploc bag. That's typically more than enough. Never had issues. The total size of the liquids that you can bring on the airplane is about 1 liter, and there's limitation on the container size. It couldn't be more than 100 milliliters. So be mindful of that when you pack all of your stuff, and put them all in the transparent bag in case you get stopped at the checkpoint. It's just easier for them to see what is actually in your bag. And before we proceed any further, if you enjoyed this video so far, give it a thumbs up as well as subscribe to my channel. So what I would typically bring on a trip, of course, conditioners, shampoos. Typically those are provided at the hotel if you're staying in the hotel, but I do like my own product, so I just bring my own. Obviously any type of moisturizers. If you're suffering from a dry skin or you're going to a hot location, moisturizing is fantastic for you. You should stick to it. SPFs, any type of makeup removers for the ladies out there. Of course, smaller sizes, so things like deodorants. Well, I just got my husband's smaller size. You don't need the full product on your trip. And of course, when it comes to the perfumes, be mindful, first of all, do not use perfumes or strong perfumes on the plane. And when you stick to the perfumes, do not bring the full size, just like this bad boy. Definitely stick to the travel size of a perfume. It's small. If it's near the end, like this one, most likely you're going to discard it at the end of the trip, and you don't even have to bring it back with you. Another great idea is those tiny samples that typically being given to you when you're buying the perfumes, things like that. Fantastic for a couple of days, and don't take much space on the plane. This section is for the ladies on this, so when you're packing your makeup, make sure you only get the essentials. Don't take any larger containers of your foundation or things like that. I typically travel with the makeup bag of size of this. I'm very low maintenance. And of course, anything related to the skincare routine, facial creams, I tend to go with the smaller sample size versions where I either fill it up or just ask for those in somewhere in Sephora instead of bringing the full container of the product, because once again, it's heavy. This is very light, not going to take a lot of space, so just be mindful. So let's move on to the 4th category, which is clothing and shoes. I tend to pack the items either by rolling them or vertically, KaiMari way. There's a lot of videos on how to do that. That being said, I love seeing everything inside of my suitcase. I'm not one of those people who gets into location, just pulls everything out. I typically tend to keep everything inside of my suitcase, and only when I need it, I pull it out and wear it. when you get to what to pack, please do not pack, oh, this is my favorite t-shirt, I'm gonna bring it with me. No, stick to the basics. T-shirts like this, I love those. Those are Amazon basic t-shirts. I typically get them in very basic colors, black, white, beige, or nude, whatever color works for you. I get a couple of those, one per day. They're fantastic to wear on its own, as well as to put underneath any type of sweater that you might want to potentially bring, or shirts if it's a business trip. And stick to the minimum amount of clothing that could create an outfit, meaning typically I bring 2 pairs of pants, dark and lighter colors, specifically if I'm traveling to the lighter locations or hotter locations. Couple of shorts, one for indoor or hotel, and another one's for the outdoor. Things like underwear and socks, I typically put in a separate pouch. I fold them exactly the same way. I typically pack extra, at least one a day, and often definitely you want to bring some extras with you. In terms of the shoes, I do not bring more than 3 pair. So the heaviest ones I typically bring to go to the airport or travel in. If it's a longer vacation, I tend to bring either a pair of sandals or heels, depending if I'm bringing dresses or anything girly and I will be going out for dinners or so. And of course the flip-flops. Flip-flops are fantastic, could be taken anywhere from the pool to the shower. And this is another hack for you. Stick to the cheaper version of the flip-flops. Pick them up in the Old Navy or even the dollar store. You can travel with them one way and discard them at the end of the trip. I typically buy those in bulk. They cost like $2 somewhere in the Old Navy store, and honestly works out great for me. I don't have to bring them back. I don't have to worry about it. Another rule of packing and traveling is that all of the bulky and heavy items, you would have to wear them to the airport. So they don't take extra space in your carry-on, obviously extra weight in the carry-on. So things like jackets, I prefer to take those packable ones. It's about 0 degrees in Toronto right now. It's gonna be closer to 0 degrees or 32 degrees Fahrenheit in Vegas. So I'm definitely taking one of those when I will be traveling on the airplane. Any type of sweaters, any type of heavy shoes, put them all on you so you don't have to go through extra restrictions and potentially be forced to check in your luggage.
Now it's time to talk about risk items, and the first one is, of course, any type of Swiss Army knives. Never a good idea to bring it. It's going to be your last time bringing that particular item. Scissors is another one, definitely big no-no. Tweezers, I've been taking tweezers away on one of my trips, and of course razors. Sometimes they get cranky and they do take them away.
So next category of risk items is potentially anything that might contain a battery. For some reason, they do not like battery when you travel internationally, specifically to the Europe or Middle East. So when you're thinking of bringing one of those with you, electric toothbrushes, a lot of times I opt in for just the manual one, if it's just a week or two, or just even a couple of days, in order to keep something that I really love at home, so no one takes it away. Another one is any type of cordless hairbrushes, any type of cordless hair straighteners. I got taken away one of those when I was flying between Canada and United States, so be mindful, do not bring those. If you need it, bring the one with the actual cord. For some reason they like it more. Just be careful out there. Next category of risk items is food. So anything meats, fruits, nuts. Typically be very careful of what you're packing. I'm a snack girl. I love packing snacks, which I can consume throughout the flight as well as at the destination. I typically tend to get one of those granola bars. This one I would be careful because it contains nuts. A lot of countries do have restrictions on cured meats or nuts and even fruits. I did get stopped flying within Canada just because I had an apple in my carry-on. You don't want to delay yourself, so just be mindful. If you want to purchase something at the airport past the point of security. Try to consume it during your flight, and obviously a lot of times when you have points of security on the way out, you might potentially get stopped there. Be careful, be mindful, and pay attention to those 3. Another category of risk items is waters and liquids in the large containers. So I typically do bring an empty water bottle with me, but make sure you do not put any water in your Stanley cup when you go into the check-in point, because it's gonna get taken away. You would have to get out of the line, find a way to discard that water, and obviously it's just gonna delay you throughout the airport. Be mindful, do not bring the containers filled with any type of liquids which are larger than 100 milliliters, and you're not gonna get stuck at the airport. All right, now we know what to pack in your carry-on. Let's talk about personal items. So once again, check with your airline what our restrictions are on the personal item. A lot of times you can bring a backpack or a purse or any type of tote, but once again, be very, very mindful of the size of it so they do not consider it as a carry-on or check-in luggage and you don't have to pay extra fees. Another restriction might come from the backpack perspective. A lot of guys bring quite big backpacks, and those will not be allowed as a personal item. This is more of our compact version, which I typically bring on a longer travel. I can put my laptop in here, I can put my Stanley in here, and any other items that we're going to talk about in a minute. But typically I'm not a backpack girl. I do not like the fact that you have to take it off and someone might get potentially getting into your backpack while you're walking at the airport or in the crowded places. I'm more of our crossbody bag type of girl. I do like the fact that you can use it as a purse if you're going out for dinner during the vacation, as well as you can use it as a crossbody, and you can easily go in and out of the bag to fetch any type of items that you potentially may be using a lot at the airport itself. Things like documents, chargers, your phone, things like that. And it does have zipped compartments, which I can put more important documents or smaller items, so anything that I would like to keep really, really secure. So what do I typically put in my crossbody when I travel, either for business or for vacation? Of course, the documents, passport, I'm going to be showing it at the airport, potentially my tickets, anything that I need to keep handy. Obviously, your charger, you don't want to be going in and out of your carry-on bag just to fetch that, and you most likely would need it either on the airplane as well as at the airport itself while you're waiting. Headphones, something that you definitely want to put in your personal item that rather than the carry-on, because once it's already in overhead compartment, you don't have to bother people going in and out just trying to find this. Well, wet wipes. Everyone needs wet wipes, regardless of what it is. Wipe your hands, wipe your face. Accidents happen. Very good thing to have when you're traveling. Of course, hand sanitizers. It's something that, well, pandemic taught us to bring nowadays, and I cannot live without mine. I told you guys I'm a snack person, so I bring typically granola bars or any type of protein bars with me, as well as my wallet. I keep it in a zipped compartment. You would need it when you're paying at the airport, as well as, well, it's always great to have it handy on you rather than elsewhere. Another two things that I tend to bring with me, especially when I travel to the hot destinations and from a cold climate, so think about winter travel to Caribbean, is I pack my flip-flops with me with a small bag. So at the time of the arrival to the new airport or destination airport, I just switch my shoes and I do not suffer from wearing the hot Canadian winter shoes. And of course, tip number two, I always pack an empty water bottle with me. I stay hydrated. And of course, do not put any liquids one more time prior to the check-in point. Do it afterwards once you already pass the security. All right, guys, these are all of the tips on my carry-on packing and what I typically bring with me. Once again, going to Vegas just in a few days, gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna record a couple of videos for you that will be coming in just in a few weeks. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and of course don't forget to click that bell button in order to get notified every single time I post the video. Bye bye now.